Have you ever felt like you're constantly jumping from one interest to another, never quite landing on your thing in life? You see people who've known since childhood that they wanted to be a doctor, a pilot, or an artist, and you can't help but feel a little bit jealous. Meanwhile, you've been stuck in this cycle, getting obsessed with something for a week or a month, only to lose interest and then move on. If that sounds like you, trust me, you're not alone. But here's the thing, it turns out that this isn't necessarily a problem. In fact, you might be able to turn it to one of your biggest strengths. A big part of this comes down to personality, specifically the trait known as openness to experience, or openness. People who are high in openness tend to be creative, curious, and constantly searching for new ideas. That's great for innovation and growth, but it also comes with a downside, a constant desire for novelty. You see possibilities everywhere, which makes it hard to commit to just one. Meanwhile, people with lower openness tend to have a more fixed set of interests and routines, which can make their path feel more stable. But stability and innovation rarely go hand in hand. That's why you often see the struggling artist surrounded in chaos. The key is learning how to balance curiosity with commitment. This commitment will come easier if you have high conscientiousness, but you'll see later how you can still influence this through understanding. A lot of people believe that you need to pick one path early and then stick with it for life, but that's just not how most successful people operate. David Epstein's book Range explores how generalists, people who try lots of things before settling on a direction, often outperform specialists in the long run. Take Steve Jobs, for example. He famously took a random calligraphy class in college, not knowing how it would ever be useful later in life. But years later, it influenced the typography and design of the first Macintosh computer. It wasn't part of a grand plan, but it became one of Apple's defining features. The experiences you accumulate, no matter how disconnected they seem, often come together in ways you can't predict or appreciate until later in life. This applies to careers, relationships, and personal growth. Everything benefits from a broad foundation before narrowing down. Now, the challenge isn't just personality or overcoming your own limits, it's also the world we live in. We have endless options at our fingertips. Social media, online courses, self-help books, new trends every week. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, constantly chasing the next big thing, but never sticking with anything long enough to see the results. It's almost like we're swimming in a sea of opportunities, but the current prevents us from staying put long enough for it to matter. But here's the shift in mindset that can help. The problem isn't a lack of opportunities, it's about learning how to harness them effectively. In the sea analogy, it's like building a boat with an anchor. So here are some solutions and mindset shifts that might help. Number 1, harness your environment. For some people, the number one change needed is their environment. If you're always in a place filled with distractions, it's no surprise you struggle to focus. Having a quiet, consistent space that's conducive to deep work can make all the difference. This is where the concept of flow states come in, where you're fully immersed in something, you lose track of time, and your productivity skyrockets. Reducing unnecessary stimulation and creating a structured workspace can significantly improve your focus and consistency. Studies have even shown that being in an environment at work with many distractions is equivalent to having 10 IQ less than your normal level. Something that people with high openness often fail to appreciate is the power of constraints, or rules. We need rules to create order in chaos. Initially, rules feel limiting until you realize that they keep you pointing in the right direction. Imagine, for example, if we had no rules for driving. It would take you much longer to arrive at your destination. The same is true with productivity and the pursuit of success. These rules can be anything from no social media before noon to no gaming until you finish your specific task. Number 2 is finding your why. If you struggle with commitment, it might be because you haven't found the right kind of motivation. Some people are driven by financial success, others by recognition or the pursuit of mastery. Even external motivators like wanting to make your parents proud can be useful in the short term. They may not be the most pure forms of motivation, but they're fuel, and sometimes fuel is exactly what you need to get started. Once you build momentum, you can then refine your process along the way. Understanding what drives you and making intentional choices based on that is crucial for sustained progress. Think of it like climbing a mountain. At the base, you need to harness whatever fuel you have to push yourself upwards, whether that's external validation, ambition, or even sheer stubbornness. The initial climb is steep, and without fuel, it's easy to stop before you've really started. But once you reach the peak, a shift happens. From there, you can use other forces like gravity to your advantage, letting momentum and experience carry you forward. Number 3 is the power of long-term thinking. The best things in life, whether it's career success, meaningful relationships, or creative mastery, don't happen overnight. They require sustained effort, consistency, and patience. Relationships, both personal and professional, thrive on trust, respect, and credibility, all of which take time to build. That's why short-term compromises like giving up a bit of profit in a business deal or being patient with someone often pay off massively in the long run. It's about playing the infinite game, where the goal isn't to win quickly, but to keep going and growing over time. Trust and reputation are built over years, and the benefits of compounding efforts in these areas are immeasurable. For me, the biggest shift came when I truly embraced the idea that we only have one life. In some ways, my biggest motivator isn't just the attainment of something, but the attempt to avoid regret. I don't want to look back and wonder what could have been if I had just committed to something long enough to see it through. Avoiding regret is often a more powerful force than the desire for success itself. Knowing that I gave my best efforts and made choices that aligned with my long-term goals brings a sense of fulfillment that outweighs short-term pleasure. Finding your path in life isn't about having all the answers from the start. It's about balancing curiosity with commitment, structuring your environment for success, and embracing long-term thinking. If you're looking for further insights, I've included some book recommendations below that can help you navigate this journey in particular. Instead of seeing your broad interests as a hindrance, recognize them as assets that can compound over time. By applying the insights from these books, along with your own self-awareness and persistence, you'll gradually carve out a path that feels both fulfilling and sustainable. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video or got something from it. If you did, I'd really appreciate if you could like and subscribe, or even feel free to leave some feedback or some comments below in the comment section. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.